Good evening, paranormal community, and thank you for partaking in the 308th episode of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host, Michael O'Neill. With me, barely, but as always, is my co-host, Mr. David Soren. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mike. I got to remember to turn my volume down.
Well, you should have.
Or pull it out of my ear. You would think after 308 episodes, I would know better.
Especially since I've been doing the same opening every time. I mean, it's a little different, like the cadence or the tone or the octave.
Yeah. Well, when we first started, you weren't doing that. But it's for about the last 100 episodes you have been. So you think I would know better.
No, for the last 5 years, not last 100 episodes.
About the last 10 episodes you've been
doing. That's 10 the last 10 episodes? Yeah, no.
Yeah, about the last 10 episodes.
Although one of these days, and I can't, I know I'm going to do it, and I want to do it, but it has to be like the perfect show. Like I have to feel it. But I'm seriously just going to come on and I'm just going to be like, good evening, paranormal community. How are you? Like I'm just so like low key and you know, like the Twilight Zone, you know, type yes. thing. And yes. I'm not going to tell anybody when I'm going to do it. I shouldn't have even said that because now I'm foreshadowing. Yeah. But I wanted to throw out there that you know, a big change is coming. Well, it's just going to be a 1 week thing. I mean, so I can't really say a big change, a big surprise for everybody. For well, but I just told you what it was. It's like I told you we're going to have a surprise party for you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell you when we're going to have a surprise party for you.
Gotcha.
So that's what I'm talking about.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it, but I haven't felt it yet. Kind of like you in crop circles.
Right.
You just haven't felt it.
No, we'll get back. Don't worry about it, man. We'll get back to crop circles.
Oh, I know. I know.
I've got my whole things already done, and I've got great arguments of why crop circles are legit, and it's not just two dudes from frickin' London running around creating crop circles.
No, I get it. But you know, for some reason, you went so far deep into the rabbit hole. Like now you're you're nervous about reopening that hole.
Yes, I went so deep. I honestly did. I did a deep dive on that one that I barely made it back up for air. So I'm just taking a hiatus a little bit.
Make sure your consciousness is sound and stable.
Correct. Yeah. Make sure everything's okay before I do it. Yeah.
So before we get into listener stories, two things. One, have a phenomenal show for everybody. Great guest coming in the second hour. Jodi Dehn, chaplain, who is very proficient in angel communication. That is going to be our main topic. But then she was on a couple weeks ago, briefly. The only guest who, after we said goodnight, did not leave.
No, that's right. Well, it was funny because she hung out and she was just having a good time listening to the show and stuff. So it was cool.
Like while still on the show.
Yeah, right. While still on the show.
Like it wasn't like she's like, oh, I'm done and I'll go listen to the show, the rest of the show. No, she was right here with us.
Right.
Only time that's ever happened. Yeah. But yeah, that was fine. But she's coming back. We're talking about angel communication. And then she has an event coming up, which I know just the location brings up tons and tons of questions for you and me. But she's got an event coming up in August, I believe, at Mount Shasta with psychic medium Sarah Lemos. So we're going to be talking to her about that as well. So a lot of great things, and a fellow Minnesotan.
Yes, and a fellow Minnesotan.
Miss Jodi Dehn. And it's a good thing I asked her how exactly to pronounce it, because even though I knew it was something other than Den, I thought it was Dean. I was off on that one. So good thing I asked. The second thing that I would like to bring up is an update in a not positive way for my, at least from what I know, unless somebody knows differently, for my attempt to create a god. So many, and I should say many weeks ago, but weeks ago when Anthony was on in our thing, I proposed, let's try and do the topa, a thought process, and let's create a god or a demigod at least, known as Fisto, the god of all traffic. And so I've revamped how I do it. So now every time I go through a yellow light, instead of just kissing my palm and slapping the thing, now I do that, but then I put my hands up like I just made a touchdown, and I'm like, praise to Fisto, and on I go. And apparently
I have not done it. Yeah, I have not done it. Just so
you see, it's your lack of commitment, Dave, that is ruining my experiment.
Let me just point out that if you go back and listen to the show, I clearly stated that I was not participating. So
yes, you are, Dave.
No,
Everybody
I clearly
is participating.
Stated that I was not going to participate in the creation of a demigod. So
all I'm saying is this topa, this creation that we are all going to do, that I'm trying to do anyway, it's going to be great for all of us. Because
it's going to be fantastic.
You make your what word am I looking for here?
Stupidity?
No, that's not it. Not even remotely. But
okay, I'm just asking because that's the first thing popped into my head. So
yeah, good try though, but no.
Thank you. Okay.
Your tribute. There we go. So letter adjacent. Anyway, so basically what you do, just to reiterate this, anytime you go through a yellow light, you kiss your palm, slap the thing, and you say, praise the Fisto, the god of all traffic. And if you go through 3 yellow lights in a row, and I might add, I've gone through, I think 4, if not 5 in a row since I created this. And that's how I know it's not working, because Fisto is supposed to reward your tribute by giving you a better sex life. And that has not happened. So I know that nobody is doing it, at least not in the scale that we need to. So people.
Well, two things. Number one, maybe the gift he's giving you is the gift of survival for going through yellow lights. And number two, this sounds about as intelligent as playing the tonal chords trying to release Pan in the cave.
I don't agree with you, Dave.
And probably you would only get that reference. I don't know if our fans will, but but Mike knows what it means.
I do know what it means, and I shake my fist in your general direction for
I know you would.
comparing what I'm trying to do to what they did.
Yes, I know.
So,
thank you.
I spit in your general direction. But yeah, so we're trying. I'm still trying. I'm putting my effort in. Are you?
Yes, absolutely.
You're not, but I know other. You're so not. Anyways, so I just want to give an update on the failure of that so far, but the Q in Star Trek: The Next Generation, the trial continues. And we'll continue to move on. All right, David.
Yes, sir.
Are we ready for tonight's stories?
Mailbag. Yes, we are.
The Odyssey Files is proud to present the Mailbag. So, I would like, just real quick, an explanation of tonight's stories, because it really seemed to be that you picked these specifically to either give me a seizure or a nervous twitch.
Well, I knew you'd love number 1. I wasn't taking it. I took number 2 to save you from the gravity of that one. I love number 3. It's absolutely great. I think that's a great question and story.
Is that
number 4 is good? Number 5 is perfect for you. Then by the time you get there after your first 2, when you get to number 5, you're going to just be all over it. And then Number 6 is kind of cool because it's something brand new for us. We don't get a lot of stories that deal with that. So,
Well, right. No, I understand that. Number 6 is probably the only legitimate one that looked like
no,
you
I
put
don't think so. I think they're all good.
what? No, no. And everybody who's listening at any point in time will agree with me on this. I really hope that I think number 3 is an amazing story, is said with the same sarcasm as I think Fisto is a good idea.
Not quite on the same level,
But not far off. Okay.
It's in the same zip code.
All right.
Let's just put it that way.
Let's start.
Okay, let's start.
Story number 1. I bought a haunted doll and need advice. Hello, friends. I bought a haunted doll and she came in yesterday. Her name is Norma. I'm having trouble talking to her. I'm new to more of the paranormal side of things. I've been a practicing witch for 4 years or so, but I've never really tried communicating with spirits or anything. Any tips on communicating with her and her communicating back will be appreciated. I'm sure
That's a perfect
it
way
will.
to start the show.
You
know why? Because I'm going to bring that up to Jodi. It's one of the questions tonight. That's why I chose that story. About whether or not spirits can really inhabit dolls, or whether that's just a bunch of malarkey.
I see.
What she thinks, anyway.
Well, in this case, I really don't think, good sir or ma'am, that you can legitimately go on eBay, which I'm sure is what you did, and buy a so-called haunted doll and then be surprised, confused, when what you try to do with this haunted doll, like communicate with it, doesn't work. Did anybody like train you in witchcraft, or did you just read a book and be like, all right, I'm a practicing witch? Because
I think a lot of people get their start like that.
Well, they shouldn't.
Well, I totally understand that, but I'm just saying, I think that a lot of people who say they're witches get their start like that.
A lot of people that say they're paranormal investigators or ghost hunters get their start like that too.
Sure.
And you know how much I love those people as well.
Oh yeah.
And I've and let me be clear, because we've talked about witchcraft, we've talked about paganism, we've had witches on the show.
Yep.
I have nothing against witchcraft or witches or anybody who wants to follow the pagan religion in any way, shape, or form.
Nope.
My issue is people, and this includes the supernatural, and it includes witchcraft, and as I'm sure any legit, like Jodi, not tonight's Jodi, but Jodi Jacobson, who's been on the show a couple times, would say, I do appreciate or like people who just go and do shit and call themselves what that is. Like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to nail this board in my fence, therefore I am a construction worker. No, you're not. You know how, well, whatever. You nailed something into a board. That's construction. Anyways.
Yes.
So, and now you're trying to go into the paranormal side of things. Why, I don't know. Because I don't know. Now that interests you. And now you're wondering why you can't talk to a haunted doll. Haunted dolls, just in general, like there's no haunted dolls out there, as far as I'm aware, that like will sit down and have a conversation with you. Robert the doll does not talk to you. Annabelle does not talk to anybody.
No, she just kills people.
Right. They do their shit magical ways. They make you have bad luck. They make you do shit to yourself. They, whatever. They don't sit down and have interviews. I wish they would, because I would invite one on the show. So my advice is to stop trying to communicate with the doll, because it's never going to happen in a way that you think it's going to. If there is a spirit, it's not suddenly going to get up and walk over to you and be like, is it time for breakfast? Not going to happen.
Right.
So I guess you need to get over this whole I'm shtick, thing that you're doing, where like supposedly a haunted doll is going to talk to you, because it's not. And honestly, I want full kudos for myself because I think I kept it under wraps somewhat okay. I kept it 80% professional.
Right. You did a good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm done. That's all I got to say.
All right. So, first of all, the only thing I want to say about this is I know a handful of witches, and every single one of them has some sort of ability to communicate with spirit. So, whether it's for guidance or whether it's just because they have abilities or they're playing with things, going places, doing stuff, that draws the interest of spirits. So to be a practicing witch for 4 years or so and never have any type of communication with spirit, I don't know if I believe that, or if I believe that, then you're not practicing witchcraft. You're just reading some books and dabbling and do it, but you're not really practicing witchcraft. So anyway, that said, I think that you need to be careful because even if the doll is not haunted, once again, it's conscious thought. So if you think the doll's haunted and you think the doll's going to talk to you, and you focus all your energy on that, sooner or later, and hopefully it's later, that doll is going to start communicating with you, and it's not going to be what you want. It isn't going to be like, hey, let's sit down and have tea and cookies. It's going to be telling you things, being your best friend, and then it's going to be your best friend that tells you that you need to go kill the neighbor's cat because it doesn't like it, or the dog because it barks too much, or something like that, and then it's going to get even worse from there. So I think the best thing to do is just put the doll on a shelf with other dolls and just let it be a display piece or something like that. If you like dolls, like if you're a doll collector type of thing, perfectly fine. If you're not a doll collector, then just give it to the Goodwill or something.
I have an amazing idea.
Okay.
The doll can be the physical body for Fisto.
Absolutely not.
So you need to stop calling it Norma and you call it Fisto, the god of all traffic. And this person and me can channel our thoughts towards this doll and turn it into the god of all traffic.
Maybe this is your long lost love. Maybe this will be like the bridging of a beautiful relationship with the haunted doll, and then you manifesting this demigod into her doll, and then you two living happily ever after with the demonic haunted doll running around.
That's what I'm saying. See, now if we do this and I go through 3 yellow lights, maybe the owner of Fisto the doll, god of all traffic, will reward me with the better sex life with the owner.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And then you, as the paranormal investigator, can document the doll's demonic activity. I mean, that's a perfect relationship for you.
I'm saying it now. The universe,
it's coming together for you.
It's all coming together. That's
all coming together, buddy. I can feel it. My gut. All right. So moving on. I have a ghost cat, and I don't know why it's here. Hey guys, for quite a few years now, I have been living with a ghost cat. It started out as I feeling like something like a cat crawled slowly into bed with me one night. I will also feel brushing against my legs as I actively look, nothing is there. On some occasions, I see it. It's a small, black, shadowy mass with little pointy ears. Sometimes it's just a small black mist. I will hear it run past me and hear very obvious paw prints scattering on the wooden floor. It does not feel malicious or bad, but it will not leave. Being that I am at one of the lowest points in my life, I am seeing and feeling it even more. I'm not sure what to make of the situation. Any opinions, answers, or whatever would be greatly appreciated. Clues. Sorry, don't have my glasses on. Any opinions, clues, or answers would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, so here's what I think. I think that you're at one of the lowest points in your life, and that this entity came to you to bring joy into your life and happiness, and to give you something to take away from your low vibration level and let you have a little bit of joy and bring your vibration level up. And I think you're looking at this gift the wrong way. So I think the cat is there to bring you comfort, and you're not getting comfort out of it. You are confused and probably a little fearful, and it's obviously not accomplishing what it's there for. So I think you need to back up. You need to accept the cat being there. I think that once you raise your vibration level, and once you become more positive, and once your life gets better, I think that the cat's going to move on. And I think that that's going to be a beautiful thing. And I think that when the cat moves on, that's going to be a sign for you that things in your life are better. And that's all I got.
Well, I couldn't disagree with you more, Dave.
I understand that. I knew that was coming. Totally.
I'm not sure that it's a cat at all. But my first thought was that you're encountering like a mouse that scurries across the floor and stuff like that. However, I changed my mind when he said it's the lowest point of his life, and now he's experiencing the cat even more. That is because the cat is causing it. And now that he's sinking lower, the cat gets emboldened. It's a demon cat, so to speak. Although I'm just calling it cat just because that's kind of what the story's about. I honestly don't think that it's a cat. I think it's taken that type of shape, yes, but I don't believe that it is actually in spirit of an animal. I do think I am being serious though, and saying I think that this black mass or whatever the hell it actually is the cause of what is going on, and that as the vibration of this person sinks lower, obviously the boldness of this entity gets bigger. I would say get rid of it. Like, I would cleanse the house, bless the house, do whatever you have to in order to get rid of it. And I think I'm just going to leave. I don't have much more that I can say. I honestly don't think that it's a cat. Just because ghost animals in general don't typically stick around for years. Like, that's a lot of energy that an animal would not know so much for that period of time in order to manifest like that over and over and over again.
Well, I don't think it's a real cat.
I just said it. I don't think it's a real cat.
No, I don't either. I never said I thought it was a real cat. I said it's a spirit that is trying to raise your vibrational level. It's just taking on the form of a cat.
Well, once you started talking about how this cat thing was bringing it comfort, I stopped listening.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's
a great conversation later down the road when you're like, what? Did you say that? I don't know if you said that.
I don't remember that.
I didn't hear that.
It's wrong anyway. But anyways, fair enough. But if that is it, it's failing miserably. Because this person seems to be sinking lower over the years.
It's female, first of all. I think it's a lady. But but either way, whether it's male or female, I don't think so. I think they're doing it to themselves. I think that the spirit is there to help them. It's taking the form of a cat, maybe because they like cats, and and they're just they're not accepting it, and so it's working in reverse of what it's supposed to be doing, is what I feel.
Well, it's definitely working yeah. We
I do
we
not think
both
it's the demonic entity that is pretending to
I
be a cat, though.
I don't. I just said demon cat because I just like saying demon cat. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's demonic. I do, however, like I said,
I think it's malicious.
um, either that or it's a poltergeist. And as this person puts more and more negative and raw energy and emotion out there, so too does this cat. Because if you're right and they like cats, maybe that's how it's starting to show itself.
Right.
Um,
Well, then
you
wouldn't
know,
the cat be getting bigger?
well,
Right? I mean, wouldn't it make sense that it would be getting larger if it was
well,
absorbing more and more energy?
it's definitely getting more and more frequent. So maybe it's not so much size as it is frequency or consistency.
Yeah.
But either way, I think we both. Well, you don't. I was just say I think we both agree it should be getting rid of. But no, you're wrong. No, that's not correct. We don't agree on that one. I think that you should get rid of it immediately. Dave thinks you should accept it.
Right.
So, I guess it's up to you who you want to go with. I'm glad that we could be of absolutely no help.
I think that's two legitimate observations from us, and I think that whatever one makes more sense to you is the right answer for you.
I
So
agree. Or get a third opinion.
yeah, right. Or get a third opinion and totally dismiss ours altogether.
Not so much dismiss it, but I mean, like, call in like a psychic medium, somebody who would be able to read the energy and be able to tell you which way it's going.
Yeah. Or call on a medium that be able to see the cat and then just be able to understand what it is when it shows up, kind of thing.
Yeah. Just Dave and I can throw out our opinions sure. in our theories,
we're good
whether we agree or not. I mean, that's what we're here for. Right. But yeah, not having boots on the ground. I think just because this could go either way, I think you need to bring in somebody who can legitimately tell you what is going on, as opposed to you just being like, I'm experiencing this.
And I would seek counseling for your depression, and go see your doctor and get some medication to help raise your spirits.
Unless I'm right, and then you just get rid of it, and you'll feel better, or you could go through 3 yellow lights.
I'm seeing a theme tonight. There's a pattern emerging.
It's so unintentional, but so amazing. I honestly did not plan that at all. I mean, I did want to do the update, but everything else is been ad-libbed. Okay.
All right.
Is that all we got?
Yeah, that's all we got. We're in total disagreement on that. Get a third opinion.
Yes.
That's where we're leaving it.
I don't want to do this one, but we will. All right. Can ghosts...
I'll read this one. You can read the next one.
No, I'll do it. Can ghosts urinate? Or is my house just gross? I'm already twitching. All right. Before we move in, do I correct you, Mr. Sorry? No. Before we move in, we are renovating a house we bought about a couple of months ago. We have been working on getting rid of the smell of pet urine. We have even gone as far as pulling off baseboard trim, cutting out sections of drywall, and even replacing studs because they were saturated to the point of still being wet. We start to think we have everything cleaned up, the house will smell better, and then a day or two later, we notice the urine smell in another room or part of the house. When we investigate, lo and behold, more wet drywall or baseboard trim or studs. From the next door neighbor, we know that the house was a rental with many different people occupying it, and there have been at least a dozen cats and dogs on the property over the last 20 years. It's pretty clear from the stories that the next door neighbor has told us that some of those animals were neglected, and a group of 3 or 4 dogs were left to die in a makeshift shed. When we bought the house, the yard hadn't been taken care of in about 2 years. The day I mowed, I found 2 dog balls and cleared them out of the way. The next day, I found that the dogs had left me 2 different dog balls and about 10 quote unquote fetch sticks. So I think they are happy to have us there, and I have assured them that they are safe and we are friendly. Could the walls, floors, studs, etc., still be wet from urine a couple of months after the last animals moved out, or can ghosts urinate? By the way,
Pizza man.
we do not currently have any pets, and the house is locked up tight every day when we leave. So no way anything is getting inside unless it's a mouse or a rat or squirrel or any of the other animals that just crawl in throughout the thing.
Yeah, I can tell you what right now, squirrels aren't going to saturate a stud with urine. So you're pretty safe. You could have a whole party of squirrels in your house, and they're not going to saturate a stud with urine.
Yeah, probably not. So let me just hit the first question. Can ghosts urinate? No. They, their energy. They don't have bladders. So no, they don't feel the need to urinate like we do. Like I'm sure I will be in the last 40 minutes. But can they create the smell of it, the replication of it? Sure. Do I think that's what's going on here? No. Yes, I think your house is just gross. Sorry to say. I mean, I'm sure you're trying to make it better, which is great. What I find interesting is that you're cleaning up one room, and then you don't say that. You say it goes away, and then a day or two later, it's in some other place of the house, but not right where it was before. So, I mean, it seems like you just need to keep moving about the house and getting rid of whatever is pee stained. I mean, none of this is like the peas coming back where we just put in new stuff. I don't know how long saturated wood stays wet. Dave probably does, so I'll let him tackle that part of it. Despite my analogy earlier, I am not a construction worker. But anyways, I'm interested in why you think this is paranormally based. That you just keep finding urine smell, someplace else in the house. Just keep renovating. I guess would be my advice here. I guess the thing about it is, I lost my train of thought. I'm good. That's it. Just keep renovating. I think you're gonna. Oh, I got it. What I was gonna say. I just think what's happening here is the reason why you're not. Our smell. We get accustomed to certain smells. So if you're in your house and you're in this room or whatever for a long periods of time, when you're renovating or whatever, you get used to certain smells, and sooner or later you don't smell them anymore. Well, then when you get rid of it and everything smells differently, you get accustomed to that smell. Well, then when you go to someplace else in the house, it's back to being the urine smell. I think the smell has been there the entire time. It's just whether you're able to perceive it or not. And so, yeah, whether there's ghost dogs there bringing you fetch sticks or not, I think in this case is pretty irrelevant. I don't think that they're coming into the house to urinate on the floor or whatever as dogs, ghost dogs. So again, I just say continue renovating. You should be fine.
2 in a row that we are going to be complete opposites. So, I think that this house had so many people through it and so many different things and the abuse that happened to the animals on the property. And my gut is saying that there was like some dark shit going on, either satanic worshiping, maybe animal sacrifices, or, um, possibly dark witchcraft. I don't know, but I think that if I walked into a house and it smelled like that, and then we cleaned it up and everything, and walked through the house and everything smelled fine, and then go back a couple days later, and the baseboards, you're having to pull baseboards off again, and the studs are still wet a couple of months after the last people were there, that ain't happening. There's no way. Um, So what I think is happening here is I think something bad happened in the house. I think that some conjuring happened in the house. Like I said, whether it was dark witchcraft or satanic type of conjuring, I think there was sacrifices made. I think that something got unleashed in the house. I think there's a negative entity in the house. And I think that the urine smell is a very common sign of a negative entity, and that's really the only way that it could be wet still, is that there has to be something there manifesting it. um, so the fecal smell, the sulfur smell, the vomit smell, the urine smell, they all go together. All four of those things go together as a sign of negative entity infestation of a house, and that's exactly what I think is happening here. I think this house is infested. I think that you should stop renovations right now, because I don't think that you're going to be able to move in there unless you can get somebody in there that's going to be able to cleanse this house and stop whatever's happening, and remove it from the property to make the house safe. Because otherwise, this is a money pit. You're going to be pouring money into this house trying to fix this nonstop. Then you move in, and you're going to eventually get attacked by whatever's there causing all this stuff to happen. So bring in Jesus would be my advice.
Bring in Jesus.
Well, I would have the house blessed by a priest, and then I would bring in as much white light and high vibration as I possibly could, and keep it that way. And I'll bet you, if they do that, I bet that the house stops smelling like urine.
Don't get me wrong. We always say bless the house or whatever, but this is the first time we're just like, bring in Jesus.
Yeah, well, bring in Jesus. Just anything that's having your house blessed, bring Jesus into your life, whatever you need to do.
And fun fact, Jesus was a carpenter.
That's right. Jesus was a carpenter.
Yeah,
so that's my advice. That's what I think is happening here. I think something bad happened on this property. That's why it went through a bunch of different renters. That's why there was a ton of different animals. That's why somebody left a group of dogs outside to die. I think it's cool that the dogs that were outside are leaving you fetch toys. I think that's great. I mean, I think that's the fact that you sense them there, and that you're like, hey, you're totally fine being here. We love you here. It's cool. You're safe. I think that's fantastic. You obviously already believe in ghosts if you are communicating with what you think are dead dogs leaving you sticks. I'm just saying, you already believe in ghosts, thinking that you have ghost dogs.
well,
So it's not too much farther to step into it to say, hey, something is paranormal on a bad level is going on inside my house.
only on a paranormal show could we say with a straight face, dead dogs are leaving you sticks.
Well, they are. That's what it says. 2 different dog balls and 10 fetch sticks. So obviously it's a couple lambs.
Apparently. I mean,
Yeah. Maybe a golden retriever.
I definitely agree with you that this person obviously has some sort of knowledge of the paranormal, because most people wouldn't look at 10 sticks and 2 balls that weren't there as spirit dogs. Like, these should be like,
Right.
these must have come from the neighbor's house or something like that. I mean, they wouldn't have just jumped to, I have ghost dogs here.
Right.
And like the first story, I can see things going either way. You know, and my opinion would have been much different if they would have said, you know, we tore out the drywall, we tore out the baseboard, you know, trim, blah, 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 blah. It went away. And then a day or two later, it was back in the same room. Like my answer would have been completely different. But the fact of it's always in a different room from where they just changed out the stuff just kind of made me believe that there's a natural explanation, whatever it may be, for what is going on. That's not discounting the fact that there may actually be ghost dogs there. I just don't think it right now with what we have that I'm going to blame it on them or an evil entity for pissing all over the house.
Well, I'm
Although
definitely not going with ghost dogs pissing in the house. That's totally not where at all.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I can see either one shaping up.
Yeah.
So
I would have the house blessed. I would bring in some blessed objects to the house and see what happens. That's the first thing I would do. Religious provocation in the situation. I would bring in some blessed objects and do religious provocation and see what kind of results happen, because you're not living there yet. So, you know, you don't have all your stuff there. This is a great, like if this was within a couple hours drive, like I'd be there. This would be a great house, like to do religious provocation and then see what happens, and like have all the equipment set up and recordings and stuff and cameras, and see if you'd piss something off. And then if you do, at least you know you got something pissed off. Certainly isn't going to be an angel that's pissed off, or it ain't going to be, you know, Jesus isn't there and he's angry because you brought in a you know, blessed medallions and holy water and a blessed cross.
Exactly, I agree.
So, yeah.
A blessing is never going to hurt, and
Nope.
it will probably tell you, it will give you a lot more answers than what Dave and I could ever do.
Right. And don't sage your house. Don't watch an internet video and go out and buy a sage stick and then walk around your house thinking you're saging your house and you're going to cleanse it. Don't do that, please.
Yeah. So because we only have about 15 minutes before Jodi gets here, let's skip all the way to the last one, because we haven't had a cryptid story in a while, and I would like to have that one. You want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take it. Possible cryptid sighting in Illinois. Hey guys, so 2 nights ago, I had an experience with something in the wooded area around Maple Lake near the Overlook. I tried to do some research on what it could have been, but have come up with empty. I did find encounters of other cryptids in that area, like skinwalkers and wendigo. However, those were a long time ago, and with the suburban nature of this encounter, it has led me to disqualify the possibility of it being either of those creatures. Its appearance and location have led me to believe that it may be what is referred to as a white crawler. I still don't know what it was, but it was something that felt human, but I know it couldn't have been a human because of the size and shape and color. Plus, it felt too much like an animal. It hit me like I was being stalked by an animal. So I'm there in the southwest suburbs at the Overlook listening to music in my car. I often like to get out of the city just to clear my head, when suddenly I hear something pulling up to me from behind. You know, it's late, it's dark, people like to come to the Overlook to drink or find some privacy. So I check my rearview mirror and I see this thing in the moonlight. Something is in the road. Unsure of what it is, I move to adjust my mirror to get a better look when I see eyes staring at me. You know how animal eyes have that glisten in the dark. It was like that, but they're watching me through the rearview mirror, transfixed, focused, and intent. It was tall, probably 6 to 7 feet, and white as snow, and it froze me in my place. It had straightforward eyes like a predator does. I started to process what I was seeing, and I got hit with an inexplicable chill, like someone poured ice water down my back. It's that feeling I get when someone is approaching me from behind, or something is watching me with a sinister motive. This sends me bugging out into a panic, so I start the car, shift into drive, and hook a hard right and out of the lot back onto the main road. As I look along the side of the passenger window, I see it running at the same pace I am driving, and it's huge and white and running on 2 legs. So I speed up and head towards the main road, where the street lights start again. When I looked over at that point, it was gone. I don't know what it was, but it made me feel sick to my stomach, so much so that I almost threw up. This encounter has quickly turned my perception of the natural and unnatural upside down. Could you guys please try to explain what it was that I might have seen? Sure, I can explain what it was that you saw. You saw a cryptid. You shouldn't have freaked out. You should have got your camera out and got some pictures. But that said, I understand the fight or flight response, and obviously your response was flight. I've heard of the crawler stories and stuff like that. But I'm not going to dismiss that this wasn't a skinwalker or a Wendigo. I'm just not going to throw that out the door. If there's stories of them being there in the past, I don't care how far back it was, and usually I don't know that they would be in suburban areas, but I don't know that they wouldn't be. I'm not throwing those ideas out. I don't know why this guy is throwing these ideas out, but I think sounds to me like it's a legitimate personal experience of something that we probably don't know what it is. Like a new species, something maybe like Bigfoot. Maybe it has the ability to kind of just appear and port in and out. I don't know, but whatever it was, 6 to 7 feet tall. I think just the description of the eyes, how it had predator eyes, they were glistening in the dark. It locked onto him in the rearview mirror. It felt focused, intent, transfixed, snow white. And then it was running as fast as the car was driving on 2 legs. So it's not a wolf. It's not a dog. I've never seen a dog or a wolf run on 2 legs. At first, I was going to say maybe it's just a big wolf, like an albino wolf, and it freaked him out because if you saw an albino wolf at the middle of the night and just saw it in the moonlight, it would be snow white. You probably would get a little freaked out. But I don't know any wolves that stand on their hind legs and run as fast as you're driving in a car. So I think that this needs more research, to be honest with you. After the show, I'm going to actually kind of dig around and see what I can find for the Maple Lake area in Illinois and see what is going on over there and if there's reports of weird stuff. Maybe, I don't think this is a big stretch either. Maybe this is an alien. Maybe it's some type of alien that came into play and was trying to approach him. He doesn't say that. It sounds, it's more animal looking, but people panic. Obviously, this guy panicked. He was out of there in a heartbeat. So I don't know. I don't have a legitimate answer, but I think it's a great story. So thank you for sending it in, because we don't get a lot of cryptid stuff.
I definitely think that it was a what is least known around here as a pale crawler, but white crawler, is pretty much the exact same thing.
Right.
And they are something that has been seen, especially recently, in the Midwest. Even here in the cities. Dave and I did an entire show on it.
Yep.
And the interesting thing about the pale crawler story is it always ends up almost exactly like that. They come across this creature. It doesn't attack them. It doesn't do anything really aggressive, but everybody who sees it has that instant, I'm about to be attacked. This thing has malicious intent. I need to get the F out of here.
Yep.
And as you were reading that story, like I just got, man, I wonder if that's it's, I don't want to say it's power, but that's, every single creature has a certain ability to protect itself. Like the possum that plays dead, the skunk has the, or whatever, snake has the rat, every dogs and wolves growl, everybody has a certain thing that they can do in order to protect themselves. And I'm wondering if this thing is able to project a feeling of panic onto the people who it is, scared of, trying to get away from, um, or get them to leave their area. Because and one of the stories that we read that actually brought this cryptid to us was, here in Chanhassen, here in the cities, and almost did the exact same thing. It ran alongside them. It went the same thing with the car, and then it disappeared. And so I'm wondering if it's, uh, I think it's territorial. I don't think that it's actually going to attack people. I think people just get that feeling. Like I'm wondering if that is just its its natural ability, and then it runs you out of its territory. And as soon as you're gone out of that area, it breaks off pursuit. Um, but the stories of the pale crawler are growing. And now, I mean, they used to just be in Minnesota. Now they're down in Illinois. So I wonder if
So
they're
in Wisconsin, I'm looking it up right now, and
it,
Michigan.
so it's spreading out throughout the Midwest. Now, it probably started here in Minnesota, shocker, and now it's Illinois, Wisconsin, uh, you know, Michigan, and I think we're going to be hearing a lot more frequently about this pale crawler, because it doesn't seem to, like Bigfoot, it doesn't seem to need to be in the deep dark woods.
Mm-mm.
Like it might want to be in wooded areas, but it could be, a wooded
Just for
area.
cover, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, just for cover. A place where, it thinks that people typically aren't going to go. Um,
So
so
here's something interesting, right? So
sure.
first of all, I looked up a couple of images. So this thing, it has what they is black eyes, but at night they reflect white. So that in itself is weird. But get a load of this. The pale crawlers occur in many of the Algonquin tribes' teachings and mythologies as a threat similar to the Wendigo, but instead of as representations of greed and hunger, as a creature other than what used to be a human. I don't know if that's a clear sentence. Somebody who wrote it doesn't know how to write for shit, but I just read it. I read it verbatim. Sorry, but the fact that the Algonquins are teaching that these pale crawlers exist in their teachings and mythologies as a threat that's similar to the Wendigo. We'll just leave it at that because the rest of that sentence was just destroyed by unintelligence. Good God. But here, June 14th, near a forested area in Higgins Lake, Michigan, two unnamed men were injured and one was killed. Police passed it off as a bear attack. The validity of the bear attack is unlikely, as video that has since been lost to the police was proven to have been shown that the disproved that theory. Again, great writing. July 23rd, in upstate New York near Niagara, a crawler was seen by a park ranger who would then lose his job due to unruly conduct, poor mental capability, and an inability to distinguish reality from fiction. The crawler was caught on camera, but the park ranger service confiscated it as official evidence. And then in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, there was a sighting of a possible crawler occurred on an intersection of the road. So those are three within the last couple of years. So interesting.
And they're being caught on camera, and then the footage is lost. So,
Well, it's not lost; it's being confiscated.
confiscated and then never shown again.
Well, correct, right. So it's like the soft serve
Min-
man, right? Like the
oh, yeah.
guys, like
I was like,
the two troopers show up, and
yeah,
troopers never ride together, right? But the two troopers show up in the same car. Then the guys from the hospital show up with no badges or anything. They don't do it. They just throw a guy in the back and they all haul ass, take off. And then when the other police try to follow up, they're like, we don't have any reports of any ambulance. coming to your location, and there was no state trooper, no report of a state trooper there. It's the same kind of thing, right? Like you get evidence, and then somebody says, "Go get that evidence." Get it over. Put it in the storage locker.
The men in black have upgraded their wardrobe.
Yeah, to invisibility, I think.
Well, I'm just saying is that they're no longer showing up in black suits and tying a black hat.
No, right, because they're too obvious. Yeah.
Well, right. Now that the movies come out, they can't do that anymore.
No, right, yeah. Right.
So
they're just blending in like normal people.
Pretty much. So, I mean, I definitely think what this person encountered was a pale crawler. And especially since it is kind of like the cousin of a Wendigo. Like I can see where they would be alike, but still different.
Yeah.
So plus the Wendigo was so flipping fast, I don't think he would have gotten into drive before it would have been on him.
No, it would have been in the backseat of the car, ripping him apart.
Home, James.
Yeah.
All right.
No, it would have been ugly. That'd have been a bloodbath.
Yeah, I agree. We would have seen it on an episode of Supernatural.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty soon.
Yeah.
But okay, I don't have anything more on that.
No, I don't either. I appreciate the story though. I think it's cool. I think you saw something that. I mean, I just don't have an answer for you, but I think something happened. I believe you. I believe something happened. I believe you saw something that you couldn't explain, and your body told you, "Get the hell out of here now." I mean, you're in the car, so it's not like you're walking in the woods and you're defenseless. I mean, you're in a motor vehicle. You could start the engine up, throw it in reverse, and run the thing over. And you still have that panic sensation, like, "Get out of here now." And then it's running with you as you're driving away. That would freak me out. I'd be like, no, put it to the floor.
Nope.
Yeah, nope. We're throwing the nope on that one. You are not going to be running alongside my vehicle.
All right. Well, that does it for the mailbag.
Phantasm.
Yes. I'm going to go to intermission really quick, and then when we come back, we will have Jodi Dehn on. So see you on the other side.
This is Susan Slaughter from Paranormal Caught on Camera, introducing you to the most epic show ever, The Odyssey Files with David Soyering and Michael O'Neill. You're welcome. Pew, 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 pew.
Hey, this is Grant Wilson from Ghost Hunters, and if you ever have time that you never want to get back, spend it listening to Mike and Dave on the Odyssey Files.
This is Heather Taddy of Paranormal State and Alien Highway. I can't say that the Odyssey Files are out of this world, but Mike and Dave are quite abductable.
Hey, this is Dustin Perry from Ghost Hunters, and you're listening to Dave and Mike on the Odyssey Files. It's not the best show you're ever going to listen to, but it's also probably not the worst.
This is Michelle Belanger, author of The Dictionary of Demons. What is faster than a speeding shadow person and more fun than an anal probe? It's Mike and Dave of the Odyssey Files. Hold on to your hats and buns.
This is Elizabeth Saint. You know, in my journeys I've confronted an over 1,000-year-old demon from the depths of Shepherdstown. But then, you know what happened? I came across Mike and Dave. And hot damn, nothing could have prepared me for the Odyssey Files. My second favorite radio show. I love you guys.
And we are back.
God,
So-
I never get tired of hearing Elizabeth.
I know. I don't either.
Absolutely love that. She was all wigged out on cough medicine. That was just hilarious.
Perfect timing to bring on a sick guest.
Exactly.
So speaking of somebody who is not sick this week and only half injured, as opposed to last week, which is why we weren't on, I would like to introduce our guest tonight, Chaplain Jodi Dehn. Hello, Jodi. How are you?
Gentlemen.
How are you?
Hi, Jody.
Well, I'm better than last Sunday night, except I got it's my fourth finger. I got a broken finger.
Ow. How'd you manage that?
But it's not like having a back injury, so I'm good, right?
Good.
It was actually funny because I sent Dave a message being like, Jody's not able to do the show tonight. She threw her back out. Dave's like, yeah, well, that makes two of us. He did as well. So he wasn't going to be able to do the show anyway. Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. It worked out perfect.
Well, if it makes you both feel better, I feel amazing.
Good. That's awesome.
So, Jodi, we got a lot to talk about. So I want to dive right in because Dave and I have been waiting a long time to be able to talk to somebody who is very knowledgeable and proficient as angel communication. And I want to start out by just, and I honestly cannot remember. I think we didn't ask you this because we only had like 20 minutes. How did you get involved in becoming a chaplain, and what made you, I guess, realize that you were somebody who, I guess, angels could communicate with, if that's the best way to phrase it?
So back in 1992, a little bit before that, you talk about angel communications. They nudged me and said, "You're supposed to be a pastor." I'm like, what? I'm supposed to be a who? And so I'm thinking, okay, there's something behind this. Now, I've been getting angel messages that I know of, that I readily recognize since the age of 3. And we can go back and talk about that in a little bit. But to go to the 1992 thing, yeah, they kept saying, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to do. Well, and if you know my personal history, it's like I'm the last person in the world that should be a pastor, right? I have had troubled past. I've had a wicked past. I've been all across the board, right? So my mom and dad called. My mom was raised in the strictest Lutheran denomination that there is, Wisconsin Synod. And so I was holding my breath because they're like, "Oh, well, hey, what's new?" And I'm just like, "Oh boy, here it comes." And I said, "I'm going to seminary." And my dad, who I love dearly, he's passed now. His sense of humor was awesome. Goes, "Oh, well, that's interesting."
That's quite the development.
But then my mom was like, "Well, I was waiting when you were finally going to realize that that's your calling." And I was blown away, absolutely blown away. But it was the angels that were the ones giving me the nudge over and over and over. Well, so I got a 4-year master's degree from Luther Seminary, Master of Divinity, and got out, became ordained, went into a Lutheran congregation. But at the same time, I also became a military chaplain, which best thing I ever did. And you talk about angel communication when you're a military chaplain. It's insane. It's like they don't stop because there's just so many things going on that they need to guide you and support you with and everything. But so that's to answer that piece. But my first angel communication was when I was 3 years old. I didn't realize it at the time because I was 3. And it was not until I was, I don't know, after I had kids, so late 20s, that one day I was just sitting there thinking about it. And of course, Pastor Peace hadn't even come into this yet. And I thought, I wonder if that's what that was. And then I thought to an incident when I was 4 years old. And I started thinking about that. And so I asked my mom, I said, what was going on in those two, situations? And she, by the way, is still alive. She's 95, sharp as can be. I couldn't be so lucky, you know. Um, and she said, well, what do you think it was? And I said, the only thing I keep coming up with is somehow there were angels involved. And this was still at a point in my life where I was on the naughty list. I wasn't on the good list yet. Not that I'm on the good list now, but um and I said, so I think it was angels. And she said, that's exactly what it was. She said, have you realized all the other times that they were talking to you? So that's when I really started thinking about it and going back and through all the crap that I ever did and all the trouble I got into and the good times too. And it just, it was all there. Every single piece of it, it all just sort of popped up. So that's then when I started really paying attention to what was coming through and how it was coming through and what they were saying and why they were saying it and how they were saying it. Because angels are not religious beings. First of all, they're energies. That's all they are. They're just energies. They are in all the ancient cultures, going back to the Anunnaki and the Egyptians. I mean, you can go right down the line. But they're also in all the religions too. And so that says something about them that they're there for everybody. They've been there forever and they're still here. And anybody and everybody can talk to them because they're one of those sort of, I can't say eternal because angels can die, um, but they're probably more eternal than anything else without quite being eternal. Does that make sense?
So please, I got to know the answer to this, and I hope it's not the wrong answer. When they speak to you, are they cryptic or do they speak clearly? Don't say cryptic.
It depends. First of all, it depends on you, how open you are to them. Um, the more open you are, the more clear it will be. If you are just sort of going, oh well, hey, what was that? It's probably going to feel real cryptic. But then it also depends on your clairs. Of the four clairs, you generally have two that are the strongest. And so they're going to come through in your strongest ones first before they start coming through in your lesser ones. I've now been able to develop all four of mine, so they're pretty even as far as that goes. Um, I was sitting in the hallway of our home over in Shoreview. I was the only one in the house. Nobody else was home. I was cleaning out the hall closet. Crappy mess. When you have 5 kids, things pile up. And all of a sudden I heard Jodi, clear as could be. And I was the only one in the house, except for the dog. Dog doesn't talk. And I got up and I walked around the house. There was nobody there except me. So I went back to the closet and I kept cleaning. And then all of a sudden they nudged again, this time not out loud. I mean, the first one was right out loud, like somebody was in the house with me. The second time it was just inside. I could feel it, I could hear it, and it was Jodi. And I thought, okay, the angels are trying to get my attention. I must have been too deep in thought with the closet, and they were trying to bring a message in. Well, I found out later that the message was that I needed to call one of my kids. And within about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, I got that from them. And I did. And one of them had missed their ride. They didn't have any way to get a hold of me. I couldn't get a hold of them. So I called one of their friends and they said, well, yeah, we just left them at the school. Last time we saw them, they were at the school. And so I drove over and sure enough, that was the angel message. But otherwise, for me, the angels constantly talk to me. And so people say, well, how do you talk to the angels? And I say, well, I just talk to them like I'm talking to you right now. It's just a general, normal conversation. I'll talk to them when I'm driving. I talk to them when I'm fixing dinner. I talk to them when I'm just laying out in the sun now because it's the summertime. When I'm working on the survivor angel work that I do, I'm always asking them, am I going in the right direction? What's the subject matter I need to be focusing on? And they always bring it back to me. But then of course there's those times when I'm not intentionally looking to talk to them that they will just show up. Um, when I was in Ireland, Mysterious Adventures tours, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. One of the other people who was part of our group, he was very sensitive, had been since he was a child, and he heard that I was the angel lady, and so he started asking me questions and everything. And for the rest of the trip, we sort of had this ongoing activity, if you will, of who was going to spot the angels first because he was very cognizant of them. And we were at Blarney Castle, and he'd go, "Did you see it?" And I'm like, "What did you see?" And he goes, "No, you tell me first." And I said, "Okay, at the same time, say the color." And we did. We both said orange or rust. And so we had both seen the same angel presence at the same time. And it was really fun to have somebody right there with me that was seeing things at the very same time. And that's when the validation is amazing for me, but it's really amazing for other people. In June, we were at Harriman Hospital with Brian Murray, Rochelle Stratton, and Cody and Satori. And Shauna Bittler, who works with Brian and Rochelle, she had said to me, she said, "Jodi," she said, "go down in that hospital room down at the end of the hall on the right." So I went down there, and as soon as I walked in the door, boom, angels were everywhere. It was like a freaking glittering light show in there. And I was just like, this is amazing. I couldn't believe it. And I just stood in there in awe. And then all of a sudden, they started separating out their colors into blue and the red and the green and the yellow and the white. So they were actually differentiating themselves from each other instead of just being the collective group. And so Brian walks in and he goes, "Did you see it?" I said, "Brian," I said, "I'm still seeing it." I said, "They're everywhere." And he goes, "What do you mean they're everywhere?" I said, "These are angels that are here." And Brian wheels around and walks out. He'll talk to me about angels, but he's not here yet. So I walked back out to Shauna and I said to Shauna, "That is a room full of nothing but freaking angels." And she said, "Really?" She said, "Okay, so you need to talk to these people." So there were two other investigators there that are part of their Riverbend Paranormal group. And they said, "We're seeing these sparkles in this one hospital room down at the end." I said, "The one on the right?" They said, "No, the one on the left." I said, "Well, let's go down there." So we went in there. I said, I didn't see anything when I got in there at that point. I said, "Tell me what you saw." And they said, at one point, there were green starting from the foot of the bed and going up over the pillow and off the end. And then there were red that were going up and over across the bed. And they said, "What was that?" I said, "That was Archangel Gabriel and Raphael." And they're kind of like, "What?" And I'm like, "When you see sparkles in those colors, those are angels that are with you." And they said, well, what? Why would they have been here? I said, "Well, Raphael is the healing archangel. Gabriel is the one for um, for bringing joy. So if somebody is ill, to lift them up." Well, then Shauna walks in and she goes, "Well, I saw white sparkles everywhere." She said, "So who was that?" And I said, "Well, that's Metatron then." And they're all like, from the Marvel Comics, and I'm going, no, that came afterwards. Metatron, the Archangel, came first. Um, Metatron is the Archangel for children and families. So I said, that then tells me there was a child in this hospital bed. And it was just amazing because there were three people. They'd never seen anything with angels, didn't know how to look for angels, didn't know how to spot them, that they'd all seen them. And I mean, it was great. I don't know who is more excited, them or me. So what
All
else
right.
do you want to
So
know?
I got to throw a quick story by you now that you're talking
Hmm.
about sparkles. So some years ago, there had been a question as to whether I had an attachment or not. And so I had a minor rite of exorcism done from a friend of mine, non-denominational pastor. And as he's going through it, he felt that something kept stepping into the space, observing, and then leaving. I had nothing attached to me. I knew I didn't because I didn't feel it. And he's like, no, he goes, I don't feel anything on you. But when we finished and he left, as I walked to the window, I saw about 1,000 bright, bright gold, glittering, what I would describe as miniature fireflies or fairies, like Tinkerbell, right? Like just in mass. And they're just moving around the room in like this beautiful formation in this cloud. Super, super bright gold. So what do you think that was?
Angels.
Like, is there a
No,
particular,
no doubt
is
about it.
gold a color of anything?
Yeah, that's exactly how they will appear. And the colors, that's their auras, and that's, they come in on frequencies. That's one thing that a lot of people don't realize with angels is they are just energy, and they have a frequency that goes with them depending on what messages that they're bringing. It's also connected to the angel numbers, which that's another way of knowing that angels are trying to communicate with you. It all goes back to the universe because the entire universe is nothing but a mathematical equation. And in fact, I don't know, have you ever heard of Tarus? It's a mathematical shape that is found in the entire universe. Scientists will tell you about this. And it's always in the shape of a donut. It's three-dimensional, and it literally looks like a donut. And the ancient Egyptians talked about them. Ancient Indian, I mean, over in India, so the Buddhists and the Hindus, they talked about these shapes, as well as Native Americans. I mean, you just name it across all these cultures. And with the donut piece, it stands for that infinity, the ring, no
Yeah.
beginning, no end. So it's in all the religions. Um, but it's believed that it's a conduit for energies to pass through. And so I look at it as possibly being how the angels travel between the dimensions. Whether you think it's a stacked time theory or whether you think it's, I don't think anything is linear. I don't believe in that. That's too easy for us. But yeah, so I think that's a major conduit for the angels to come through, and that's why we find the angels in all the ancient cultures and current cultures and all religions, because it's like a commonplace thing, and they're found all over the universe. They've been there since the beginning of everything. And you will find that in so many ancient writings and scripts and all of that. Um, they're quite fascinating. And the interesting piece is they have free will, just like we do. So if they're getting directions from somebody about the messages to bring to us, they can bring those messages to us in whatever way they want to bring them to us. And maybe even change them up a little because we all receive things differently.
Makes sense.
Okay, I have a lot of questions, but because I have to share the show with Dave, we'll just we'll just
Get
start with
one.
we'll just start with one,
Yeah.
and go from there. So, I guess is two questions. Then we'll start with one. Is for and I'm sure everybody out there knows what I'm talking about when I say that every once in a while, out of the blue, for no reason, whether you're lying in bed, whether you're walking down the street, whether you're driving your car, or at work, all of a sudden, like, you'll get this very high pitched tone in your ear. And I never knew what that was. And then I was either reading something or somebody, we were interviewing somebody at some point in time. Somebody told me that that is the angels trying to talk to you. They're trying to tell you something. This was even before Supernatural, when they finally brought in the angels of that, and it would have like that high pitched. That's exactly what it sounded like, was that high pitched tone. And I've noticed lately, like in the last year or so, sometimes it comes on with such intensity, like I grimace in pain, like I'm like, tone it down. And but I've talked to my friend Cena about this many times. I don't understand a single word they're trying to tell me. I don't get it. And if they have this free will, if they can tell you to do this, why are they trying to talk to me in a way that I cannot understand, like, at all? And I'm curious as to why they choose to do it like that, and what is it supposed to represent?
Great question. Great question. My grandma, my maternal grandmother, when I was little and my ears would start ringing because again, the angels were with me constantly. And I would go, "Oh, my ears ringing." And she goes, "Well, somebody's trying to get your attention." She never said angels, but of course, down the line, I figured it out. They do that to get your attention. The message isn't so much in the ringing, is that they're saying, pay attention. We're going to be bringing you a message, or we already just brought it. Could be either or. And if you're getting that really severe, that means they've been trying to tell you and you're not getting it. So
That doesn't sound like me at all.
It totally sounds like you.
yeah, so it's like they're kind of bashing you over the head. I know I've had a few times where I might as well be standing in the belfry of a church because it's just like bong, bong, bong. Um, yeah, it's like if you are paying attention, they're gonna, especially if it's something that is very detrimental, very serious, um, very important in your life. And the messages generally that angels bring, they're connected to your contract that you've made way back, whenever. And that's a whole nother topic for, another night. Um,
I
and
still want to see
either
my
you're
signature on
veering
the
too far away from it,
It's a forgery.
It is a forgery. I never signed up for that shit.
or you're trying to change it and they're going, no, 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 no. You're under contractual obligation here. So whoa, 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 whoa. Um, yeah, you really need to pay attention. And so then you stop and think, what's been going on in my life? What's been bothering me? What's been going really well? Because maybe something that's going really well is something that isn't good for you, but you haven't stopped and thought about it because it's just like, oh, hey, this is great. But in the long run, it's not going to turn out well. Like if you see the numbers 469, angel numbers 469 and that frequency, that means that you are putting too much emphasis on material things of this world. Now, for us, it's like, well, hey, this is great. I love this stuff because we're human and that's how we're wired. But they're saying, okay, you're going overboard with this and you need to back off. And so that's where the big old banging in the ears is another way of saying they've been trying to tell you something like that. Maybe it's going to end up draining your bank account. Maybe it's going to, cost you in the long run, whatever it might be.
But how do you determine which way they're trying to go, whether it's pay attention to what is good or pay attention to what might be bad?
Um, that's where you really have to look inside yourself and see what's going on. I call them the light angels. Their messages are only going to be positive and for the betterment of you. If it's a fallen angel, it's going to be something that is negative and it is not in your best interests. And you have to be able to sort that out. And that gets very difficult for people, especially in our culture nowadays, because we've kind of gone down some negative paths as a whole, as society and culture. And so people aren't even really realizing when something isn't good for them and isn't good for their family and their community and society. They just keep going because they aren't capable of making that realization anymore. They don't have anything to base it off of because the negativity is starting to impact anything positive in our world. I need a drink of water.
It looks like moonshine.
So yeah, so you if it's a piece where you're in danger, you're going to recognize it right away. I mean, if it really is a life or death thing. A good friend of ours, we just went down to see him today. He's a retired county deputy. He was in a motorcycle accident June 10th. And this is the first time we've been able to see him. He's ridden motorcycle since he was a teenager, since he got his license. Excellent driver, and everything. But on June 10th, a car pulled out about 15 feet in front of him. All he could do was turn the bars, lay it down, and he went under his car. Guy didn't know he was under there and drug him because the bike got caught under there. And he said that right before this happened, he got a flash of red. And he kind of looked at me and I said, that was the angel saying, look out. And that gave him that split second to be more aware of his surroundings. Not that he isn't when he rides, but just that split second. Because if he wouldn't have laid it down and went under, he would have hit and went up and over. And he doesn't wear a helmet, hasn't in years. He's older, so retired. When your day is up, your day is up. But yeah, it would have been even worse than what it was. So ended up with a broken ankle, messed up his knee to where it swelled up to about 10 times the size, and just road rash all his whole, he had blood streaming from his head and everything. I mean, it was bad, but thankfully he got that quick little warning, which told him to pay attention. And it saved him from it being even worse. So you will know if you're cognizant of messages. You can't blow off messages. You can't. They're coming to you for a reason. But I know a lot of times, we're human and people just kind of poo-poo. Oh yeah, whatever.
Okay, well, I thought Dave was going to take over. I'll ask another question since he stalled.
Dave's thinking.
That's fine. So, because this is the question that I have, because we have our guides, our spirit guides, and then we have guardian angels. So those are two completely separate entities, correct? Yes or no? I mean, that's not my actual question, but are our guardian angels and our spirit guides the same entity?
This is the way I see it. And this is my opinion. Angels are the only ones that can come through to bring messages. Spirits and spirit guides, I believe, are actually angels manifesting as loved ones, friends, whoever, could be strangers. Because if it's true that when we die and our souls go off to Neverland, wherever that might be, because I don't believe that there's a heaven. I don't believe that there's a hell. It's something completely different. Supposedly you feel no more pain. It's all joy and happiness. And so spirits are not going to be they're not watching you to protect you, because that would bring them anxiety if that was the case. Right?
I don't know what you're
Lord
talking
help my people who are watching me. But yeah, so true, the soul goes on. Absolutely. The soul is energy, and that energy doesn't die. So that goes on and on and on and on. And then people also will say that well, the spirits that don't cross over, it's because they don't want to be reincarnated again. That kind of doesn't make sense to me. And so that's why I believe that spirits coming through, I don't know, shadow man. I've seen shadow men. I still think that that's angels manifesting. Could be fallen angels, just because they can do the same thing. They don't have quite the significant powers as the light angels, because they lost a bit of that when they decided to take the low road instead of the high road. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Dave.
How's that?
Well,
How does that sit?
whether angels are spirit guides or not, I still would like to know why my spirit guides slash angels never feel like communicating with me, even when I communicate with them and they don't respond. And it's not because I'm not listening. I'm listening. I'm completely open. And I was told by somebody that I trust that my spirit guides aren't going to step in until I really need them to step in, and that if they're not communicating with me, that means that I am pretty much going along as I'm supposed to be going along.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. The only reason
I just want a little bit of reassurance. Like, how can I get them to like just step up to the plate for a little bit, even if it's just like a 30-second conversation?
Can I get a thumbs up? How about a high five? Like,
how about just a tap on the back, a pat on the butt, right? Something.
Whack upside the head.
No. Don't want to whack upside the head, because I'm going to take that as a negative thing. But
Let me ask you this, Dave. How much do you dream?
Oh, I dream in Technicolor and full blown, like vivid, high def movies, Dolby Atmos surround sound when I dream, and I'm there. I do a lot of astral projecting, so
Okay.
I actually go out and create my own dreams. Like, it's weird. It's hard to describe. Maybe create my own dreams isn't the right way of saying it. I travel and specifically tailor my experiences while I'm sleeping to what I want them to be, I guess. Okay. Does that make sense? Not every night, but half the time.
Okay.
Because half the time when I fall asleep, I just don't care where I go.
Okay.
Maybe I just don't want to go. Maybe I don't want to travel tonight. Like maybe I just want to just get a good night's sleep and just lay here and have nothing happen. But then I still have huge dreams every night. Huge dreams.
Okay. So I think what you're missing is the angels are coming to you in your dreams and you're just not picking up on it, because that is a major way that angels will communicate with you. And it's not like you're going to be seeing them in the wings and the halo and all that kind of frou-frou stuff. Not even if they're a fallen angel, they're not going to be all dark like that. They will show up as shapes, because again, angels go back to the geometric shapes. If you see an orb that you realize is truly an orb and not dust and moisture or whatever the case,
Right.
other case might be, but you
Right.
see an orb that has a geometric shape inside of it, that is an angel orb. Because again, the angels are connected to that geometry of the universe. And if there also is an aura color to it, you will know specifically which legion of archangel it is. It could be the archangel themselves, or it could be just a member of their legion by the aura color. But in the dreams, if and this is why I tell people, when you get up in the morning, have a notepad by your bed and right away write down absolutely everything that you can remember about that dream, because somehow the angels came through, and it's just a matter of learning sort of how and where. And because excuse me, because you do the astral projection,
Yeah.
my guess is they're probably popping up a lot in the same way. Again, it could be angel numbers in the dream that are very subtle. It could be, do you ever hear music when you dream, Dave?
Yeah. And I see
Okay.
two specific colors. So I see orbs, legitimate orbs, and they're either light lavender or they're green.
Okay. Green's Raphael. I have to go back and see light lavender, because I work with 17 of them and I can't always remember all their colors. My brain is old. I'm 70. So, I can't keep them all straight. I always keep my little cheat sheet with me. Um, I want to say lavender is, if I remember right, is Jophiel. And if it is Jophiel is all about wisdom and discernment. So Raphael is the healer, including pranic healing, and then Jophiel would be the wisdom and discernment. And so telling you we're here, just figure it out that we're here.
Well, Raphael makes sense because of my back injury that I had, my spinal injury years ago. So it never really has healed. So that would kind of make sense to me that he's around to just kind of, I don't know, guide me from doing something stupid and re-injuring myself maybe, or or trying to subtly heal me when I'm sleeping, or that's taking a long time. So I'm just pointing that out. I know you're listening. Just letting you know, it's been 6 years. So I'm hard time putting my socks on.
Can I just throw in one thing real quick here? I find it so hilariously ironic that Dave cannot discern the angel of discernment and wisdom. Obviously, Jophiel is not very good at what he or she is doing. And I yes, I did say that, but if you're listening to me too, I just want to throw that out there.
I want to know what you dreamed tonight, Mike.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be pretty.
No.
Yeah, so I just want to throw that out there. Continue what you were talking about. Or is that?
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, I was like, I just want to throw that out there really quick before we got down the road. So continue with what you were talking about.
One thing I should add here, for anybody that is trying to communicate with their angels, thinks they're communicating with their angels, to always preface statements, questions with in light and love. Because just like the archangel Azrael is the angel of death, and he flips good and bad. So Azrael is the one that helps us to do the crossover.
So he's a politician.
But Yeah, but Azrael will also get you in trouble to possibly do you harm. So that's why always, always, always you don't want the fallen angels coming in. And they're tricksters. I mean, it sometimes is tough to tell what they are. For me, with the ringing in the ears, if it's my right ear, I know it's the light angels. If it's in my left ear, I know it's somebody who's trying to take me down a rabbit hole. And so I just ignore it.
What if it's just gonna like blow your head up? Like I wasn't kidding when I was talking earlier about how sometimes lately it's so intense. Like it feels like just a huge pressure in my skull. Like it's not even coming from the left or right. It's just there and it hurts. And for only for like 2 or 3 seconds. And I'm like, guys, what are you trying to tell me so damn urgently? And then it'll go away in time. But I mean, it's gotten bad where I'm just like it hurts.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
mean, what happens when you have that and it's not in the left or the right? Are they just getting too excited?
I mean, I would just simply say when it's like going boom, I would just, in your mind say, in light and love, I got it. You're here. I know you're trying to get to me. I got it.
Well, lately it's pretty much, and I got this from Cena when I was talking to her about it. I just say, I don't understand you. You need to find another way of communicating with me. And then,
Right.
a couple more seconds later and it'll go away. But, at least I'm aware of it now. Whereas
Right.
before I was just like, that's really annoying and then move on and then move on with life. But,
An- Another thing though, Mike, I would recommend is just grab a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, whatever you got handy, and just start writing. What if it's a single word, if it's multiple words, so like automatic writing. What's popping through, and see if you can get something to make sense from that. It may or may not work. I can't guarantee it, but it's worth a shot.
I guarantee the first word I write down is ouch. I mean, because that's the only thing coming to mind at that time. But no, I get I get what you're saying, and I mean sometimes I'm not in a position to do it. Like I said, sometimes I'm laying down in bed and the lights are off and I'm trying to go to sleep. Other times I'm at work. I mean I realize that it's happening. It's just
Mhm.
I don't know exactly what they're trying to tell me or what they're trying to do or anything like that. And you would think that as angels, they would find a better way of communicating. Um, but I speaking of which, um, a while ago, it's probably what 4 or 5 months ago now, March, something like that. Um, I was in the middle of a decision that I had to make. I talked about it on the air, on the show before, and I was on the eve, the night or whatever of me having to make that final decision of whether I was going to do something or not. And I woke up, and for whatever reason, I was like, I do that often. I hit my phone like to turn on to see what time it is. How much longer do I have to sleep? Am I going to have to wake up? That kind of thing. And I noticed at the time, which I typically don't wake up at, was 4:44 in the morning. And got to do my business because I had to empty the bladder. But something screamed at me, look those numbers up, because repetitious numbers are often angel communication.
Yep.
And looked it up, and it was honestly exactly what I was looking for. You're on the right path. We're here to support you and blah blah blah. A message from God, yada yada. But there are also other definitions for it too, like a message from a loved one. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't fit. So two questions here, two parts. One, why would they choose to, as Dave was talking about, such a cryptic way of communication, if that is their way of communicating. And two, like you go online and you're like, what is the symbolic thing for 444? And then it comes up with this definition, but it's humans who are coming up with these definitions. So, I mean, how do we know that it's a spirit, that it's an angel communication and not just a random time? And B, that what we're reading on the internet, because a lot of everybody goes on the internet now, that the definitions that come up for that number are actually what the message is supposed to be.
It comes from numerology, which, of course, a lot of the current modern day religions don't believe in it. They poo-poo it, just same like horoscopes. And so people who study astrology and numerology and all that, they have studied the sky, the universe, and after multiple, different experiments and however they go about conducting that, they have found the consistencies. And it goes back to the research that they've done also of looking at things like from the Anunnaki and in the Egyptians and what they believed those things to be, also to see where that thread lies, where's the commonality, where's the common theme. And then when they find that, it's like, well, bingo, if we're talking about going back tens of thousands of years, and that was the message, and that seems to still be the message, then that must be the message. So it's part science based. And that's where, the spirituality and the science, it all comes together. And it does go together. They both complement each other, which is what makes me crazy when people say, well, science and religion don't match. And it's like, oh, you bunch of bozos. They actually complement each other. When you pay attention, it all makes sense and it all fits together. And they both have the answers that we need. So it comes from years and years and years of study and testing and people just doing over and over and over.
So if I went to a site, ryansangeldefinitions.com, that's probably not a good source.
Well, it could be.
I did go there. That's not in the actual website. I don't think so. I just made it up. So just wanted, Dave's looking at me like, oh, you moron. But I didn't, Dave. Just saying. I'm sorry, Jody, to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, do we know that any of this is 100%? No, we don't. We can only go with what we know to the best of our abilities, our knowledge, things that we can base things on. I know when I was going through seminary, before I started, my senior pastor had said to me, if you come out of there with your faith intact, it'll be nothing short of a miracle. And I'm like, wait, what?
His expectations were high for you, Jody.
I get in there and I've got these professors with PhDs that know not only the Bible, but they've studied all these other, religious texts from other religions, and some have studied Sanskrit and all of this. And they're talking about where it talks about aliens in the Bible, where it talks about, the Enochs, the Nephilim, and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I didn't learn this in Bible school. I don't know what you're talking about, just sitting there. My eyes had to be that big. And I even went back to my home congregation, and one of the pastors that was a member, he said to me, so have you learned about the aliens yet in seminary? And I'm like, are you kidding me? So this is real, what they're telling us? He's like, yup. But people like, the Bible doesn't talk about aliens. Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
There's so much that's interwoven in it. And I mean, when you think about it, it's based on math as well. there are so many different math codes and everything within the Bible. It's insane. So to say that the angels are bringing you messages and they don't do this and they don't do that, that's a lot of horse hockey as far as I'm concerned, because anything is possible. You just got to figure it out.
Well, here's what I think. I think that something we haven't said tonight, but that plays an absolutely major role in everything that we're talking about, is faith. You got to have faith in what you feel is right. And I think that the true answers come from that.
Mhm.
You know, honestly, I
I
mean, that's what I feel. I mean, I feel like I call it my spidey sense. Like, right, so if I'm on a paranormal investigation or I'm at a house and I'm helping a family and their kids are having a hard time because they're seeing something in the closet or whatever, like I always follow my gut, because I know I have faith in the fact that my body or my angels, and that's the way they communicate with me, are telling me that when I get into certain situations, that I get that empty bowl of butterfly feeling in my stomach. And that is when I know that I need to be on alert. Good or bad. It doesn't mean it's bad all the time, good or bad. But that I know when that feeling arises that I have to be on alert, that something is there or something is going to happen, and that I need to be 100% focused and committed to experience it safely. Be the best way I could say it. Right? And that all to me boils back down again to faith. Faith in yourself,
absolutely right.
faith in a higher power, faith in whatever.
Hmm. Yep.
And Mike, getting back to you for your question, when you were like, well, how do I know that 444 is just not some random time I had to wake up and pee? Because you got to have faith that it was a sign that was sent to you.
Yep.
That's what I would say.
Mhm.
But you didn't until right now.
Well, because I was letting Jodi talk, and then you haven't shut up for the last half hour, so I haven't had a chance to jump in.
Yes, you did. Anyway, rest of the show is yours, Dave. Ask
No, we're good. No, we're good.
You don't have any more
Whatever
questions?
whatever Jodi wants to talk about, I'm good. I got my last point in. I'm ending on faith.
Okay. Well,
So whatever Jodi would like to cover, let's talk about Mount Shasta. Christ,
Yeah.
we never even got to Mount Shasta. And we sure as hell ain't going to cover it in 6 minutes, but let's jump there anyway.
Jodi, why don't you tell us about your upcoming, all of your upcoming events?
Oh boy, yeah. There's a whole bunch of them. Mount Shasta is the biggest one right now. Sarah Lemos and I are doing a retreat there over Labor Day weekend. We've got 4 tickets left. That's it, if anybody is interested. And we are going to be doing some absolutely amazing things. We just did kind of our final planning meeting the other day, and we're doing everything from angel stargazing meditations to Sarah is actually going to teach automatic writing, and I'm going to teach some automatic drawing. And Sarah will be doing a gallery reading. I'm going to teach a master class, and we've just got all kinds of good stuff going on there. I will be at Rock Island Paracon, as will Sarah. We're going to do together talk, if you will, because it goes off of our podcast series that we did together called Unveiling Visitants, where it's spirit versus angel, and it's sort of like a matchup. What are we talking about here? Is it spirit? Is it angel? And we look at evidence, and we have just a ton of fun with that. And then she's going to do a separate talk, and as I will too. We are also already planning, Sarah and I, for Sedona next April. We're going to do another retreat down there. And it's really cool because Shasta is the root chakra of the world, actually. And Sedona is like the convergence of the heart chakra. It's got the sacral, the crown, the root, and solar plexus chakras there. And so we're gearing everything around this. And so it will be different than Shasta. And we're already starting planning on that. My 3rd book will be out hopefully within a month. I sure hope it will be. I kind of got the point where I was overwhelmed, and it's like I gotta step away from it. But it's on the soul and how angels are the protectors of our soul, and how does that look? And I take it all the way back to all the ancient writings and everything, and what they were already saying about that, and I bring it up to present day, with a lot of mystery to it as well. That's all I'll say. Here in the Twin Cities, I've got um, a gathering, if you will, coming up on November 6th that I'm calling the Holiday Survival Party. So for people who are like, oh crap, tinsel, turkey, I'm already tired, I don't know what to do. Since I'm also a life coach, it's going to be how do you survive all the chaos of the holidays? And of course, you roll the angels in because they're your final safety net to get you through. And then I've got one on December 4th that is navigating grief, surviving and embracing the holidays when you're grieving. And that's not just the loss of a family member or a friend or a pet, but it could be loss of your job, or if you've retired all of a sudden, your career, it's you're lost because that's gone. Or even a lot of people have lost their identity. They don't know who they are anymore. And holidays are just really tough because it's supposed to be this wonderful, joyous time. And it's like, I'm depressed. So I'm doing a gathering on that to help people, learn how to navigate that grief and have a better holiday season. So, and then one more book is coming up. The angels already have it planted in the back of my head. It's called Shadow and Light because I'm a shadow healer. It's going to be how do you use the angels to do shadow healing? So I'm kind of busy.
You're busy. Yeah, I was just going to say, Jinx, yeah, you're busy. Well, good for you.
So Dave, with the couple minutes we have left, since she just brought up Shadow and Light, why don't you ask her your question, see if she wants to give an opinion?
No.
Oh, okay then. Sorry, Jodi, you're not able to give your opinion on that one.
No, I am interested in that Sedona trip. I'm interested in the Mount Shasta trip too, but I physically don't think I can make that trip. But I am interested in that Sedona trip coming up because I have been thinking that I need to get back out to Sedona for some of the vibrational love that's coming out of those vortexes. Because I think like for a while now, I've had something telling me that that's where I need to be to heal. So
it's huge for that.
Yeah.
So
I might be joining you for
that. Jodi, two last things. One, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Do you think that after your Mount Shasta retreat that you and Sarah could come on to talk about if anything amazing happened during that time or what your impressions of Mount Shasta were?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great.
Excellent. You'll have to convince Sarah to do so. But if anybody can, it's you. And second, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, if anybody wants to get tickets to Mount Shasta, how would they go ahead and do that?
You can either go to my website, which is Chaplain, spelled out, Chaplain Jodi, Jodi with an I, .me, like in me. Or you can go to extremeticketing.com and just put in Mount Shasta and it will pop up there as well. Like I said, there's only 4 tickets left, so which we are very, very excited about. It's going to be an awesome time. Sweet. And I like Dave says that, he would like to go to Sedona. Guys, for those of you that are listening, we've got 4 guys going to Shasta. So this is not just a fun little women's getaway. Well, now that I know that like the ratio of men to women is like 10 to 1, I'm far more interested now than I was previously. Well, and that's the other thing. if we got enough time, I'll do this really quick.
Sure, go ahead.
We keep this really small. It's a max of 30 people because Sarah and I want to make sure that everybody gets the best possible experience that they can. And so this is not some big group thing. It's a max of 30 people.
Excellent, because I'm actually a really big fan of that. I try to run my events, my paranormal events, the same way.
Yeah.
So, all righty. Well, that does it for us. Jodi, again, thank you for coming on, hang out, because we're going to be talking after the show. So yeah, so Dave and I will be back next week with another brand new episode. Stay tuned for that. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe. Everyone, have a great night.